October 2008. The financial heart of the world is collapsing. Lehman Brothers is dead, Bear Stearns is dead, bankers are jumping off buildings. But somewhere in Stuttgart, Germany, a tiny sports car manufacturer just became the most valuable brand on earth. More valuable than Exxon, more valuable than Apple, more valuable than anything else on the planet. The story doesn't start in 2008. It starts with one man, Ferdinand Porsche, the grandfather, the engineer who designed the Volkswagen Beetle for Adolf Hitler in the 1930s. Ferdinand built two empires, Volkswagen and Porsche, two companies, one family, one problem. The family hates each other. Ferdinand dies in 1951. He leaves behind two grandsons, Ferdinand Piech and Wolfgang Porsche. Both want power. Both want control. Both want to run the family empire. In 1972, the family makes a choice. They kick both of them out of company management. Too much tension, too many fights, too much hatred. Ferdinand Piech never forgets. In 1993, he becomes CEO of Volkswagen. He transforms VW into a giant. Audi, Bentley, Lamborghini, Bugatti. Piech buys everything. He builds an automotive empire valued at tens of billions. But there's one target he wants more than anything: Porsche, his grandfather's company, the company the family forced him to leave. Wolfgang Porsche runs the Porsche family. 50% of Porsche shares belong to his family. He knows what Piech wants. He knows his cousin wants to swallow Porsche, make it part of the VW conglomerate. Wolfgang will never allow it. Porsche must remain independent. But VW is 40 times larger than Porsche. How do you fight a giant? The answer arrives in 2005. A new CEO walks into Porsche headquarters. His name is Wendelin Wiedeking, former McKinsey consultant. Cold, calculated, ruthless. Wiedeking looks at the balance sheets. He looks at VW's market value. He sees something nobody else sees: a weakness. VW stock is cheap. The company is bloated, inefficient. The market doesn't believe in it. Wiedeking calls Wolfgang Porsche. He presents a plan so insane, so audacious that it sounds like fiction. What if we don't defend against VW? What if we attack? What if tiny Porsche buys giant Volkswagen? Wolfgang listens. He thinks about his cousin Ferdinand sitting in his VW office. He thinks about revenge. He smiles. "Do it," he says. September 2005. Porsche makes its first move. It announces a 20% stake in Volkswagen. The financial world laughs. Porsche makes 100,000 cars per year. VW makes 5 million. Porsche has 5 euros billion in revenue. VW has 100 euros billion. This is a joke. A tiny luxury car maker trying to buy one of the largest automotive manufacturers on earth. But Wiedeking isn't laughing. He's calculating. VW stock trades at 35 euros per share. The company is worth 18 euros billion total. Porsche has cash. Lots of it. The 911 and Cayenne print money. Profit margins hit 15%. That's insane for a car company. Toyota makes 8%. Ford makes 2%. Porsche is a cash machine. Wiedeking keeps buying. October 2005, Porsche owns 25% of VW. March 2006, 27.4%. The purchases are public. German law requires disclosure above certain thresholds. Everyone can see what Porsche is doing, or so they think. Here's where Wiedeking's genius appears. He discovers a loophole, a beautiful, elegant, completely legal loophole. It's called cash-settled options. Let me explain this slowly because this weapon is what breaks the world. Normal stock purchase. You give money. You get shares. Everyone sees the transaction. You must disclose ownership. Simple. But options work differently. An option is a contract. You pay a small fee today. You get the right to buy shares later at a fixed price. The key word, right, not obligation. You can choose to buy or walk away. Cash-settled options add another layer. You never actually take the shares. On the expiry date, you just get paid the difference in cash. If the stock goes up, you win. If it goes down, you lose. No shares change hands. No ownership is transferred. And here's the magic. Under German law in 2006, cash-settled options don't count as ownership. You don't have to disclose them. Imagine this scenario with cars. You want to own 100 Ferraris, but you don't want anyone to know. So you walk into a dealer and say, I'll pay you 10,000 euros today. In 6 months, if the Ferrari is worth more than 200,000 euros, you pay me the difference in cash. If it's worth less, I lose my 10,000 euros. The dealer agrees. You've just gained exposure to 100 Ferraris, but legally, you own 0. The dealer still owns them. Nobody knows about your position. Now, scale that up. Porsche starts buying billions of euros worth of VW options. Not shares, options. The banks who sell these options have to hedge their position. How? By buying actual VW shares, so Porsche controls the shares indirectly. But the ownership appears under the bank's names, not Porsche's. That the ownership appears under the bank's names, Porsche's name, not all the others. They have to find the power out of the air. The consequences will not be seen on the banks and not stop all the others. I enjoy the investigations in the past. By 2007, Porsche publicly owns 31% of VW. They announced this proudly, but secretly through options they control much more. Nobody knows the real number. Not the regulators, not the media, not the hedge funds. This hidden position is the loaded gun, and Porsche is about to point it at Wall Street's head. Let's shift perspective. Forget Porsche for a moment. Let's talk about the hedge funds, the smart money, the billions managed by men in expensive suits who went to Harvard and MIT. These people are professionals. They run computer models. They analyze data. They don't make mistakes. In 2007, these funds look at Volkswagen. They see a company trading at 150 euros per share, market cap 75 euros billion. They see Porsche owning 31%. They see the state of Lower Saxony owning 20.2%. That's 51.2% locked up, not tradable. But here's what they see that makes them excited. VW is overvalued. The fundamentals are weak. VW's profit margins are terrible. The company is bloated with unions and bureaucracy. German labor laws make it impossible to fire workers. The global financial crisis is starting. Car sales are collapsing. GM and Chrysler are dying. VW should be dying too. But the stock won't go down. It stays stubbornly high, around 200 euros per share. The hedge funds see opportunity. They decide to short VW. Massive positions, billions of dollars. But wait, you're probably thinking, what the hell is short selling? Let me explain this properly because you need to understand the trap these people walked into. Short selling. Picture this. You believe Ferraris are overpriced. A Ferrari today costs 300,000 euros, but you know the market is about to crash. In 6 months, Ferraris will cost 150,000 euros. How do you profit from this? Here's what you do. You go to your rich friend who owns a Ferrari. You say, "Let me borrow your Ferrari for 6 months. I promise to return it." Your friend agrees because you're trustworthy. You immediately drive to a dealer and sell the Ferrari for 300,000 euros cash. You pocket the money. 6 months pass. The market crashes like you predicted. Ferraris now cost 150,000 euros. You go buy a Ferrari for 150,000 euros. You return it to your friend. He's happy. He got his Ferrari back. You're happy you made 150,000 euros profit. That's short selling. Borrow, sell high, buy low, return, profit. But what if you're wrong? What if Ferrari prices don't crash? What if they go up to 500,000 euros? Now you have a problem. A massive problem. You sold a Ferrari for 300,000 euros, but to return it to your friend, you must buy it for 500,000 euros. You lose 200,000 euros, and you have no choice. You borrowed the Ferrari. You must return it. Your losses are theoretically infinite. The hedge funds borrow millions of VW shares. They sell them at 200 euros. They wait for the price to collapse. Easy money, or so they think. By September 2008, short interest in VW hits 12.8%. That means 12.8% of all VW shares have been borrowed and sold by short sellers. This number is about to become the most important number in financial history. But the funds make a critical error. They get greedy. Some of them engage in naked shorting. This is selling shares you never actually borrowed. You just promised to deliver them later. It's like selling a Ferrari you don't have and don't have permission to borrow. You're just gambling you can find one when needed. The naked shorts push the total short position even higher. Nobody knows the exact number, but estimates suggest the real short interest might be 20% or higher when you include naked positions and derivatives. The hedge funds are sitting on a powder keg. They just don't know it yet, because they don't know what Porsche has been doing in the shadows. Sunday, October 26, 2008. Most of the world is sleeping. Financial markets are closed. Traders are at home with families. The global crisis dominates every conversation. Banks are dying. Governments are panicking. Nobody is paying attention to a German car company. At 2 p.m. Central European Time, Porsche releases a statement, a simple press release, 3 paragraphs, 247 words. It's written in dry corporate language, no drama, no emotion, just facts. But these facts are about to vaporize 30 billion in hedge fund wealth. The statement reads, Porsche SE currently holds 42.6% of Volkswagen's ordinary shares and also has cash settle options relating to a further 31.5% of Volkswagen's ordinary shares. Read that again. 42.6% direct ownership, plus 31.5% in options, total 74.1%. But wait, Lower Saxony owns 20.2%. Do the math. 74.1% plus 20.2% equals 94.3% of all VW shares are locked up, controlled, not available for trading. That leaves 5.7% of shares available to trade, but the hedge funds have shorted 12.8% of the company. Some estimates say more. But I only need to measure the company that says that they're shooting big tech or big tech by Roberts. It's mathematically impossible. The hedge funds need 12.8 Ferraris, but only 5.7 Ferraris exist in the world, and Porsche owns the other 94.3 Ferraris, and Porsche isn't selling. The hedge funds are trapped. Actually trapped. There's no way out. The only question is how much blood they'll lose trying to escape. Some traders read the press release Sunday evening. Their stomachs drop. Their hands shake. They do the math over and over, hoping they made an error. They haven't. One trader later describes the feeling. It was like standing on train tracks and seeing the light approaching. You know what's coming. You know you can't move. You just have to stand there and take it. Phone calls start. Sunday night, traders calling their bosses, bosses calling their CEOs, CEOs calling their risk managers. Everyone asking the same question, how much are we short? The answers come back, millions of shares. Hundreds of millions of euros at risk. Some funds are short 5% of their entire portfolio on this one position. Panic spreads through the financial world like a virus. New York, London, Hong Kong, Zurich. Every major hedge fund has some exposure to this trade. They all thought it was safe. VW was overvalued. The financial crisis was getting worse. Car companies were dying. This was supposed to be free money. But Porsche has just revealed the trap. And the trap is perfect. Because markets are closed, nobody can trade. The hedge funds have to sit there for 15 hours, waiting, knowing what's coming, unable to escape. It's financial torture. The psychological equivalent of being tied to train tracks watching the train approach in slow motion. Monday morning will arrive in 15 hours. The market will open, and when it does, the greatest short squeeze in financial history will begin. Monday, October 27, 2008, 9 a.m. Frankfurt time. The market opens. VW stock closed Friday at 210 euros and 85 euros. Every trader in the world is watching. The opening price flashes on screens, 348 euros, up 65% in 1 second. But it doesn't stop. 9:01 a.m., 400 euros. 9:03 a.m., 520 euros. 9:07 a.m., 710 euros. The chart is a vertical line. This isn't a stock anymore. It's a rocket. Every tick up is another hedge fund dying. Bloomberg terminals come flashing red. Trading systems are overloaded. Brokers are screaming in phones. The hedge funds have one option: buy. They must cover their short positions. They must buy back the shares they borrowed and sold. There are no shares. Nobody sees. Every buyer pushes a pressure, which triggers market calls. It forces more buying. 9:45 a.m. 10:30 a.m. 9:06. Price breaks 1,000. 1,000. VW market Volkswagen is officially bigger than ExxonMobil, previous rivalry. Bigger than Apple, bigger than Microsoft. A car company in the middle of a financial crisis. But this isn't real value. Everyone knows it. This is pure short squeeze mechanics. Supply and demand gone insane. The hedge funds are drowning. Their prime brokers are calling. You need to close your position now. We're cutting you off. The funds are screaming back, we're trying. There are no sellers. By noon, the carnage is complete. VW hits its peak, 1,005 euros per share. Market cap, 370 euros billion. Porsche SE's stake is now at 70 euros billion. The company made 50 euros billion profit in a few months, not from selling cars, but financial engineering. From a perfectly executed strategy. The human cost is real. Hedge funds lose an estimated 30 euros billion in total. Funds that have existed for 20 years are wiped out in a single day. Traders who are millionaires driving on bankrupt. Careers are destroyed. Marriages collapse. People have nervous breakdowns at their desks. The most tragic story belongs to Adolf Merkel, German industrialist, fifth richest person in Germany, worth 9 euros and 20 euro cents billion. His family has run their business for 200 years. Merkel made one mistake, heavily leveraged. Heavily. His losses exceed 400 euros million. His creditors panic. They demand immediate repayment. They want to seize his company. Merkel can't handle the shame. On January 5th, 2009, at 6:20, he leaves his house. He walks to a nearby railway crossing. He stands on the tracks. A train approaches. Adolf Merkel, 74 years old, one of Germany's most successful businessmen, steps in front of him. His family releases a statement. The financial troubles of his companies overwhelmed him and drove him to take his own life. A billionaire killed by a car company. That's the reality of this squeeze. This isn't a game. This isn't abstract numbers on the screens. These are real people, real families, real destruction. But by Tuesday, reality returns. The price collapses. VW drops from 1,000 euros to 500 euros in 48 hours. By Friday, it's at 400 euros. The squeeze is over. The hedge funds who survived cover their positions. The market stabilizes. VW settles around 200 euros per share, right where it started, as if the whole thing was a hallucination. Porsche announces they'll sell some shares to help the short sellers. How generous, how kind. After destroying them, Porsche offers a rope. The funds grab it desperately. They cover their positions. They lick their wounds. They never forget. Wall Street doesn't forgive, and Wall Street never forgets. Here's the twist you didn't see coming. Porsche won the battle, but lost the war. Because Porsche broke a fundamental rule: don't fight when you're broke. And Porsche was broke. The options. Remember those beautiful cash-settled options Porsche used to hide their position? Those weren't free. Porsche paid billions for them, and the options were expiring. When they expired, Porsche had two choices: exercise them and buy the actual VW shares, or let them expire and lose the money. Porsche chose to exercise. They had to. They committed publicly. But buying another 31.5% of VW at peak prices required 50 euros billion. Porsche didn't have 50 euros billion. They had debt. Lots of debt. 10 euros billion in debt. The company that just won the greatest financial victory in history was drowning in loans. Then, the financial crisis hit for real. September 2008 was just the beginning. October and November brought total collapse. Credit markets froze, banks stopped lending, Porsche couldn't refinance their debt. They couldn't get loans to complete the VW purchase. The company that broke Wall Street was now begging banks for emergency funding. Ferdinand Piech watched from his VW office, and he smiled. He'd been patient, he'd waited, and now his moment arrived. In July 2009, the tables turned completely. VW didn't buy Porsche, but VW agreed to merge with Porsche. Technically equal partners, but everyone knew the truth. VW had won. By 2012, the merger was complete. Volkswagen AG owned Porsche. The giant had swallowed the tiny company. Ferdinand Piech got what he wanted from the beginning. Porsche became part of the WD empire, another brand in the collection, between Audi and Bentley. Wolfgang Porsche and his family kept their shares. They owned 50% of the combined entity. They were still billionaires, but Porsche the company was gone. The independence was gone. The family business that started in 1948 was absorbed into the machine. Wendelin Wiedeking, the mastermind CEO, was fired in July 2009. Porsche's supervisory board forced him out. He walked away with a 50 million euros severance package. Not bad for destroying multiple hedge funds and ultimately losing his own company. He never ran another company. His reputation was toxic. Nobody wanted the man who'd been too clever. The hedge funds rebuilt. They always do. Money has no memory. Within 2 years, the survivors were back to making billions. They added new risk controls, new rules, never short more than available float, but they kept playing the same games, because that's what they do. So, what's the lesson here? Is it about greed? About revenge? About the dangers of financial engineering? Maybe all of it, maybe none of it. Porsche tried to punch above its weight. They used intelligence, strategy, and legal loopholes to trap the smartest money in the world. They executed perfectly. They won the battle. But they forgot something important. In war, you need resources to hold territory. Victory without resources is just delayed defeat. The hedge funds forgot something too. Arrogance kills. They thought they knew better. They thought VW was overvalued. They were probably right. But markets don't care about fundamentals when supply and demand break. They learned that 12.8% into 5.7% doesn't fit. Mathematics is on. October 27, 2008. The day Volkswagen was worth more than any company in history. The day a family grudge broke the world. The day hedge funds learned that German engineers don't just build cars, they build traps. The Porsche family got their revenge against Ferdinand Piech, just not the way they wanted. Piech got his prize, just not the way he expected. The hedge funds got destroyed, just like they deserved. Everyone lost. Everyone won. The market ate them all. That's finance, that's family, that's the infinity squeeze.